There comes a moment in every man's life when he reaches out for help, not because he is weak, not because he is lost, but because he has carried the weight alone for far too long. He reaches out with the last bit of strength he has left, only to be met with silence. Cold, empty, emotionless silence. And that silence changes a man. A man never forgets who ignored him when he needed them most, not because he wants revenge, but because pain carves truth into the bone. It shows you who people really are, who cared only when it was easy, who stayed only when it benefited them, who disappeared the moment your light dimmed. We live in a world where everyone claims to care, but when you're on your knees, bleeding inside, trying not to fall apart, that's when you see the truth written clearly. Most people only love you when you're strong enough to serve them, but when you break, they vanish. A man remembers the people who walked past him, the ones who pretended not to see his pain, the ones who looked away because helping him didn't advantage them. He remembers the phone calls unanswered, the messages left unread, the friends who suddenly became strangers, the moment he needed something other than entertainment. And that memory stays with him, not out of hatred, but out of awakening. Because once a man sees who ignored him, he learns the most powerful lesson in life. No one is coming to save him. And that realization awakens something primal inside him. He stops expecting loyalty. He stops believing words. He stops handing out his heart like it's cheap. He becomes careful, sharp, emotionally disciplined. Not cold, but controlled. Not heartless but aware. Not bitter, but stronger than ever before. A man who has been ignored by the people he trusted becomes a different kind of man, the kind the world should fear. Because once he learns to survive without relying on anyone, he becomes unstoppable. He works in silence. He grows in shadows. He rebuilds every broken piece with fire and grit. He becomes his own backup, his own support, his own army. And the people who ignored him, they eventually return. They always return, not because they care, but because they sense something has changed. They feel the distance. They see the glow. They recognize the strength in his silence and the power in his new boundaries. Suddenly, the same people who didn't have a minute for him want hours of his time. The same ones who ignored his calls want to be in his presence. The same ones who said, "I'm busy," now ask, "What happened? Why are you different?" But you know the truth. They never cared about you. They cared about access to you. A man who grows after being ignored becomes dangerous, not because he will hurt others, but because he is finally done letting others hurt him. He becomes immune to emotional manipulation. He no longer chases. He no longer explains. He no longer waits for anyone to value what he brings. He remembers the nights he needed someone, and nobody came. He remembers the tears he swallowed quietly. He remembers how his chest felt heavy, while people posted smiles online. He remembers how he fought demons alone, while the world acted like he didn't exist. And that memory becomes fuel. Fuel to rise, fuel to heal, fuel to dominate, fuel to build the life he deserves. Pain becomes his teacher. Silence becomes his guide. Loneliness becomes his training ground. And from that suffering, a new version of him is born. A version that bends for no one, breaks for nothing, and trusts only actions, not promises. Never forget who ignored you when you needed them. Not to hold on to the pain, but to hold on to the lesson. Because the truth is simple. Some people don't deserve a second chance to hurt you the way they hurt you the first time. Some people should remain exactly where they stood, on the outside, watching you grow, watching you rise, watching you become the kind of man they were too blind to appreciate. And when they eventually say, "You've changed," smile, because you did. You became stronger, smarter, harder to fool, harder to break, harder to reach. A man who once begged for support now walks alone with power. A man who once waited for others now moves without hesitation. A man who once suffered in silence now thrives with purpose. You don't need them anymore. You don't need their validation. You don't need their presence. You don't need their empty promises. What you needed was the pain, the isolation, the silence. It woke you up. It sharpened you. It purified your soul. It made you dangerous in the most honorable way. Disciplined, focused, emotionally bulletproof. So remember this. Never chase who ignored you. Never beg for who abandoned you. Never lower your worth for people who couldn't see it. Let them go. Let the silence speak. Let your growth be the answer. Because at the end of the day, a man is not defined by who stood with him in the sunshine, but by who stayed in the dark when he needed a light. And if no one stayed, then congratulations. You were chosen. Chosen to rise alone. Chosen to grow without support. Chosen to build a strength that can't be broken. Chosen to become the kind of man who doesn't need to be saved because he learned to save himself. Never forget who ignored you, but never allow it to weaken you. Let it shape you. Let it harden your resolve. Let it carve ambition into your bones. Let it turn your past pain into your future power. And one day, when they try to come back, when they try to reconnect, when they finally see what you've become, you won't feel anger. You won't feel revenge. You won't feel the need to explain anything. You'll just feel gratitude because they showed you the truth early, because they revealed their loyalty before it mattered, because their absence forced you to become the man you were destined to be. A man who outgrew them. A man who outworked his pain. A man who turned silence into strength. A man who rose from the ashes without needing anyone's hand. Never forget who ignored you, but never regret that they did. Their silence built you. Their absence transformed you. Their indifference awakened you. Their rejection rewired you. Their distance freed you. You needed that moment of being alone. You needed that feeling of being invisible. You needed the disappointment. You needed the heartbreak. You needed their silence, so you could hear your own power. And now you understand the truth. You're not hard to love. You were just surrounded by people who didn't know how to value someone like you. So stand tall. Walk forward. Carry the lesson, not the pain. Forgive but never forget. Grow but never return. Rise but never look back. You owe it to yourself to protect your heart from people who didn't protect it the first time. And if you're listening to this, if this feels like your story, then remember one thing. You survived what was meant to break you. You became a man carved by pain, refined by silence, forged by loneliness, and empowered by truth. Never forget who ignored you, but more importantly, never forget who you became because they did.